Pop Art from Road to Infamy Games is coming to Kickstarter very soon. This is a pick and pass drafting game where players act as 1960s Andy Warhol style silkscreen artists creating a tableau that's going to earn them points. This is a game for between 1 and 8 players. You can play all the way up to 8. Games take 15 minutes to half an hour to play, and it works for people aged 8 and up. I'm Dr. Brian McDonald. This is Brains on Games. Let's find out if pop art is very fun. Pop art is a light pick and pass drafting game. Now, Road to Infamy Games are the folks that came up with Fromage. They published Fromage last year. That was my game of the year, so I was really excited when they emailed me and asked if I wanted to take a look at pop art. It is a light game. Players are creating a 3x3 tableau of silkscreen style artwork that's going to earn them victory points. The player with the most points, once everybody's placed their 9th painting, is going to be the winner of the game. You've got 2 different decks. There's a deck of background cards. Those are the solid ones that have a back on them. And then you've got a deck of transparent cards that are the foreground. You're going to choose one of each on your turn. That's all you're doing. You're choosing a foreground and a background. You're placing it in your tableau. You're passing your cards on. You're going to receive another player's cards. You'll draw one background and one foreground again, so you always have 3 of each. And then play continues until you've got your 3x3 tableau. There's a slightly more advanced mode in the game where you can play with 1, 2, or 3 different group goals to earn some extra points. This one will earn you 6 extra, well, they call them pop points. They'll earn you 6 extra victory points, those little stars at the top, if you have all 6 of the different colors that you can create with these cards in your tableau at the end of the game. One thing that we all found very interesting here is, well, I mean, first of all, it is kind of cool that you're creating these different colors when you place the foreground and the background together. So now we've got an orange necklace. Over here, pink and pink, of course, isn't going to change anything, but when you put it on the blue, you get this violet color. So you're combining the colors. You know, that's kind of a fun little mechanism, and it does have some table presence when you play through. But the thing that I found really interesting about the way that these cards pair up, is that you're also combining the foreground and the background to create the scoring condition that the artwork will make when you're adding up your points at the end of the game. You can see at the bottom row of all of these cards, there's some partial sentence. If you have only one of something, you'll get 1 star. You'll get 3 stars if something is above this card in your tableau. This one is going to give you a star per something in the same column as the card. But how do you finish that sentence? Well, that's when you add the foreground, that's when you get your complete scoring condition. So you've got 9 different combinations that you can create from the 6 cards in your hand, and you're thinking about the final background color, you're thinking about whether you're creating a still life or a portrait, you're thinking about the position of other cards in your tableau, and those choices get narrower and narrower as the spaces become fewer and fewer. In the prototype here, you see that the combinations create different shapes, different icons to indicate the color. That's really for colorblind people, or if you're not 100% sure what color you're creating there, you've got a little grid on the back of the deck box that gives you some hints about that. But they've updated this already to make these icons even more clear, and it's actually going to say green at the top or orange at the top. So it's going to be perfect for players maybe who have some trouble perceiving those different colors. I've created this grid kind of at random by drawing cards from the box, so it's not probably a grid that's going to score very many points really, but you can see how there are different ways to position things so that you can earn points in the game. You've got this basketball player who's going to earn you 3 points per yellow painting in your right-hand neighbor's tableau. So you might even be looking at the neighbor's tableau when you're placing these things. If I've got more people, more portraits in my tableau than my left neighbor, I'm going to earn 4 points. If I've got green cards in the diagonal, I'm going to earn 3 points for each of those. So in this case, I've got a couple of those things. There are lots of different ways to earn points. Plus, you're trying to get the 6 colors. Maybe you're trying to get Make sure that there are no adjacent colors that match one another. There's only a few of these goal cards in the prototype, but there's a pile of them that are going to come with the actual game. You record your score for each of these cards on this little score pad, and of course the high score is going to win. Oh, there, I got my 6 colors.
Nice.
I think I did. So I've got violet, yellow, blue,
Yeah.
orange, pink, violet again, green.
Yeah. You're in business.
I'm in business.
I got all 6 colors too.
Nice.
But I wasn't really looking at you guys to try and match up for this other thing.
What skills, though, are you practicing when you play a game like Pop Art? Well, clearly this is a game that involves some spatial reasoning. You're trying to maximize your points by positioning your paintings in your tableau so that you're going to earn as many points as possible. I've got some pretty poor combinations here because I'm only going to earn 3 points if I have only one of these violet paintings in my tableau, but I've got 2 of them, so that card isn't scoring me anything. You might be looking at your next neighbor. You might be looking at cards in the same row or the same column, cards that are diagonal from one another. So there's a little bit of spatial reasoning. The thing that I do like, though, about pick and pass drafting games is that, at least at the smaller play counts, there's a memory component there too. You're going to do your best placement if you remember the cards that are going around the circle. So when we played with 3 players and you've got 6 cards, yes, there are new cards coming up because you're drawing a new foreground and background before you place anything on your turn, but you know what cards you passed to your neighbor and you know what cards you just received. So it really is a genre where good memory will be really helpful to you, at least at the lower play counts. Final thoughts about Pop Art, and keeping in mind that this is a prototype, so things might change, rules might change, artwork might change, and like I said already, these icons at the top are changing when the game finally comes out. This is a game that looks great on the table, I think. There's good table presence here. It doesn't take up a huge amount of space, but you're creating these bright, colorful paintings with the foregrounds and backgrounds that have these geometric patterns in behind. I think that that's fun. But what I really think is clever about this game is the way that you're combining the foreground and background to create the scoring condition for that card. That's giving you some more options, I would say, than if all you were doing were trying to create some colors here and you just had a straight score condition at the bottom. You're combining those 2 things, and because you've got 3 foregrounds and 3 backgrounds, the way that you're scoring those points, you really have some power to customize that, even with only 3 of each of those things. Of course, like I said earlier, as the spaces on your tableau fill up, your choices are narrowing, and you might find yourself with cards that aren't very useful. But even though that did happen sometimes in the games that we played, I mean, that's part of when you're doing these tableau building games, when you're doing pick and pass drafting games, that's kind of par for the course. That's really part of the decision making in the game. The planning in the game is about trying to position things in a way that's going to give you the most options, and that will not narrow your choices as much maybe as they would otherwise. This is a card, this orange one here that says having only 1 purple. That's a card that I wouldn't really want in my tableau. I'd be looking to hand that off to somebody else because it's just, there are too many of those purple cards that might be useful to me. So I don't want to limit myself and then have a card in my tableau that's completely useless. So the art looks great, and the fact that you're customizing the point values or the point conditions in the cards as you play them, that I really like. It can play quickly at a large play count, so it is really good if you have a big group, because you can play with up to 8, but because it's simultaneous and you're just taking those cards and putting them down, it doesn't add significantly to the play time when you've got a lot of other players, unless you get somebody who's really stuck in that analysis paralysis towards the end of the game. We did sometimes spend a couple of minutes looking at our cards trying to figure out the best options as those options were narrowing when we played it. So what I really like here is that you've got those customizable point values in a game that looks really good, but it's a very simple pick and pass drafting game. There's not too many rules here that you have to explain. So it is one that can really get to the table quite quickly. And then you've got a couple of these deck boxes that keep the foregrounds organized, and you're using the cards that have a background on them, the background cards, to cover up things when you're passing them around. So if I'm passing my 3 cards, I'm going to want to have the backgrounds on the top, so that just so I'm not showing all of the players what I'm passing along, even though, you know, they're going to remember what they passed me. So it's not really the end of the world if they do see that, but that's just sort of part of the way that they explain to do it in the rules. So you want to hide things a little bit or force them to use their memory if you can. So great looking game, super simple to learn and teach, easy to get to the table, quick to play, still some strategic decisions. And as I said, my favorite thing here is the way that the cards interact in terms of creating those scoring conditions. I think that's something that's quite unique, actually, to pop art. So I really did like that. So thanks so much to the folks at Road to Infamy for sending this game my way. If you have any questions or comments, you can, of course, leave them in the comment section below the video. I will include a Kickstarter link in the show notes below this video as well. You can also email me, of course, at brian@brainsongames.ca. Brainsongames.ca is the website. That's where future episodes will go. Previous ones are already up there. Brains on Games is the X handle and the Facebook page and the Instagram feed and the Blue Sky page. We're all over the place. And if you enjoyed this video, you want to be notified of future ones, you can head on over to YouTube and click that subscribe button. Thanks for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you next time.